RetroDaze.
A few weeks ago, we produced a video about the rise and fall, and attempted rise again, of Pogs. But the topic actually started out as something else. If you go back and watch the video, you'll notice it begins with a brief discussion about fads. That was the initial intended purpose of the video, only it turned out that there was a lot more we wanted to say about Pogs than we realized. Well, now that we've gotten that out of our system, we're ready to finish what we started.
That's right, today we're finally making good on the original promise of that video by diving deep into the pool of forgotten fads that once ruled our lives, albeit for a short time. These are 5 fads that are worthy of a comeback. Fads are passing fancies and are often defined as short-lived, intense crazes. They can take many forms, like popular toys or trinkets, fashion, and even trendy diets. Any of these things that are essentially fleeting obsessions fall into the broad category of fads. Now, as with many other topics we've covered concerning merchandising, pop culture, and entertainment, fads seem to have taken a foothold during the Industrial Revolution, before which most common folk simply didn't have the time, money, or inclination to become taken in by fads. According to History.com, industrialization made goods cheaper and faster to produce, and easier to promote and spread. At the same time, new communication technologies, from mass circulation magazines to the telegraph and the telephone, helped accelerate that spread. The article goes on to say the word fad soon entered the English language. The Oxford English Dictionary calls its origins unknown, but cites examples from as far back as 1834 and 1867.
San Francisco tourist attractions is the former federal penitentiary Alcatraz, or as the inmates referred to it, The Rock. The Rock was also popular in the 70s, not as a prison, but as a pet. That's right, the pet rock, introduced in 1975, was billed as the 70s alternative to men's best friend. It was maintenance-free, never needed walking or to be fed, and at a cost of less than $5, it came with an owner's manual and a specially designed box with air holes. Let's take a look at our flashback segment.
What's the craze?
Oh, my mama loves me. She loves me.
Hey, who'd have thought I'd have bought a rock?
This is for my grandson, who slept on a large rock about that big for years. Don't you think he deserves it?
When I've grown to be a man.
Well, these are the show rocks, Jim. As you can see, these are very elegant, what we call our blue ribbon collection. Now, I would say that our pedigreed rocks here are very feisty.
Well, I'm going to do what the book says, take it home and give it a lot of love and make a nice place for it in the kitchen.
Our rock wouldn't be happy in a carrier such as we sell what we might call the mongrel rock in. Right. And this is up to the customer, you know, what kind of a home they want to make for the rock.
Love me like a rock. She rocked me like a rock, oh baby, love me. She love me, love me, love me, love me.
Now, of course, we're more interested in the 1900s than the 1800s, so we'll skip ahead to our first fad, pet rocks. 10 months ago, we produced a video about our strange obsession with rocks, including gemstones, crystals, and even rock candy. Only, we missed something. RetroDaze viewer NardDog101 commented on the video saying, "Let's not forget the infamous pet rock," and yes, it was an actual product. In 1975, Gary Dahl, a freelance copywriter, came up with the idea of pet rocks during a conversation about how annoying it was to take care of pets. Dahl offhandedly mentioned that a rock would be the perfect pet, claiming you wouldn't have to walk it, clean up after it, feed it, or any of the other hassles that came with owning a living pet. When it became obvious that his friends were getting a kick out of the idea, Dahl went about writing a business plan which resulted in the creation of the Pet Rock, complete with an unadorned rock, cardboard pet carrier, straw bedding, and 32-page instruction manual titled The Care and Training of Your Pet Rock. The manual was filled with humorous care and training instructions like the command, "Come. It is essential that your pet rock learn this command. A rock that doesn't come when it's called will cause its owner endless embarrassment." The lifespan on this particular fad was only about 6 months, peaking during the holiday season before crashing out completely. But in that time, Dahl had sold over 1 million pet rocks for $3.95 each, which ended up making him a millionaire. According to RareHistoricalPhotos.com, with his money, Dahl opened a bar named Carrie Nations in downtown Los Gatos, California, a reference to Carrie Nation, a radical American temperance advocate famous for using a hatchet to destroy saloons in the early 1900s. Dahl continued to work in advertising, however, he avoided interviews for years. He has said this was because a bunch of wackos harassed him with lawsuits and threats. Dahl said in 1988, "Sometimes I look back and wonder if my life would have been simpler if I hadn't done it."
You are about to witness the most amazing man-made jewelry ever created. The original multicolor mood ring. This is the ring that senses your deepest feelings. Scientifically developed, the incredible chroma stone senses thermal changes deep within your body, reflects all your mood changes in a fascinating kaleidoscope of color, responding to your deepest secrets, your most hidden emotions. The beautifully crafted multicolor mood ring reveals your subconscious feelings in a myriad of breathtaking color, from black to brown, yellow, green, to the most desired shade of violet blue. Discover the mysterious powers of the multicolor mood ring in elegant gold or silver tone settings. Dare to wear the original multicolor mood ring with the fascinating chroma stone, only $5 while supplies last.
Mood rings were another popular 1975 fad. Though they were popularized by Josh Reynolds, the first mood rings were created and sold by a jeweler named Marvin Wernick, who created the concept years earlier after seeing liquid crystal thermometers used on children. Since Wernick didn't patent the idea, Reynolds was able to market his own version, and with business contacts he had made in the financial district, he had better sales and a surge of PR. The rings featured thermotropic liquid crystals that changed color based on temperature. So in this way, the rings didn't actually predict your mood, but rather simply told you the temperature of your finger. You could easily manipulate your mood by vigorously rubbing your hands together, and yet they were still massively popular. According to Gregory Wakeman for History.com, this was because the 1970s was the me decade, so dubbed by author and journalist Tom Wolfe. Pursuits like jogging, yoga, transcendental meditation, and jazzercise took off during the decade as the concept of wellness began to enter the cultural discourse. Everything in the era was about analyzing yourself, asking, "Who am I? What are my feelings?" explains author Kelly Boyer Saggart, who researched the jewelry fad for her book, The 1970s. Mood rings symbolize this era more than anything. The craze continued for a couple more years through 1977 with other mood merchandise like necklaces. However, the market was flooded due to there being no patent, and consumers quickly lost interest even as the rings ceased to function properly. Although the rings made a short comeback in the 1990s and are still made even today, the public's interest never resumed their previous heights, and the rings are now mostly a nostalgic gimmick. One particularly dangerous fad, which we have previously covered in our Dangerous Toys episode, was the slap bracelet, which was most popular in the 90s, though first invented in 1983 by Stuart Anders. The slap wraps, as they were originally named, became popular when Eugene Murtha, president of Main Street Toy Company, began distribution. Before the official slap wraps were even on the market, purportedly due to prototypes getting in the hands of competitors at Toy Fair, imitation slap bracelets manufactured in Taiwan began to hit store shelves. According to Jake Rawson for Mental Floss, these versions typically used carbon steel, which rusted easily, and lower quality fabric, which allowed the steel to become exposed and created opportunity for injury. By the time the fad was really hitting its peak during the fall of 1990, teachers and administrators who were already frustrated with the loud and obnoxious toy seized on the safety concerns and in many cases banned slap bracelets from school. For kids, the potential danger of the bracelets couldn't undo the seismic fashion statement. Well, sure, the slap function was a huge reason for the success of this fad, but we often overlook the obvious artistic and fashion elements of the bracelets, which came in hundreds of different designs, allowing kids to accessorize and display their aesthetic tastes. According to Tori Telfer for Bustle.com, like a simpler version of the 90s tattoo choker, the slap bracelet had two faces. It wasn't just a toy that could be extended and reformed, it was a serious fashion statement. perfect for kids on the cusp of childhood and adulthood, standing between the pre- and post-internet eras. 90s kids liked their toys fashionable and their fashion playful, and slap bracelets gave them exactly that.
There's a great new sport coming down the track. We're getting our kicks with a hacky sack.
Can I,
Hack in? Sure, kid. It's a proven fact. It takes practice to get the knack. Smack that, crack that hacky sack. Over your head, behind your back. Hack it, whack it, maniac. You've got the rhythm, you've got the knack. How'd you learn to hack like that? Okay, Jack, you're part of the pack. We got the methods now, let's all hack. The new hacky sack foot bag. Think you can hack it?
Of all the fads on today's list, the hacky sack is likely the most debatable, largely because it didn't fizzle out as quickly as other fads. You could even argue that the hacky sack never really went away completely, but we're focusing more on how its popularity dissipated over time. According to Whammo, in the summer of 1972, in Oregon, a guy named Mike Marshall showed his friend John Stahlberger something unusual: a handmade beanbag he could kick around with surprising control. Stahlberger, recovering from a knee injury at the time, saw more than just a fun trick. He saw potential. The two began playing what they called footbag, a game where you kept the bag off the ground using only your feet. After 6 months, Stahlberger's knee had healed, and the duo had become masters of the game. Everywhere they went, people stopped to watch. Curiosity turned into crowds. A sport was born. They called it hacky sack, and in 1974, they filed for a patent. The peak of popularity was through the 70s and 80s, when circling up with friends became a way to kill time in an amusing way. Most prominently, you'd see these hacky sack circles forming outside high schools or on college campuses and at concerts. They were particularly popular with counterculture groups and deadheads. There were a variety of types of hacky sacks, from crocheted and plastic pellet-filled bags to leather or suede sand-filled bags, each offering a unique feel. The game even went on to become a sport, first through the National Hacky Sack Association, organized by John Stahlberger, and later the World Footbag Association. The generic version Footbag even made its way onto the Nintendo Entertainment System game California Games in 1989. And, like mood rings, these bad boys are still widely available, though arguably never quite as popular as they were back in the 70s and 80s.
Well, if it isn't Tamagotchi, her new favorite pet.
Yes.
So what's that make me, fish sticks?
Oh, are you hungry?
Oh, no. By all means, feed it. Play till your heart's content.
Look, Goldie. I took good care of her, and she changed again.
Change? How about changing some water here?
Katie, Buzz is here.
So Tamagotchi can pause. I can pause, too. Want to see that again?
Tamagotchi, the original virtual reality pet. Your care determines the pets you get. From Bandai.
First released by Bandai on November 23, 1996 in Japan, Tamagotchi is a virtual pet invented by Aki Maita and Akihiro Yokoi. The egg-shaped handheld device became a global 90s fad, selling over 40 million units in its first 2 years. The gimmick of the small toy was that it required users to feed, clean, and discipline the digital creature in order to prevent it from dying. Interestingly, upon its US release, Wired magazine likened the digital pet to the 1970s pet rock, saying it borrowed all the gimmickry of the 1970s pet rock kitsch and gave it a digital facelift. That didn't stop consumers from buying the small toys, which were notably quite affordable due to their simple nature, with only a small black and white LCD screen and a few buttons. The toys also had a certain built-in playability, offering the grand reward of a growing, changing pet if you took good care of it, or devastating loss when you failed to protect your pet and it died. As reported on SmithsonianMag.com, within weeks of Tamagotchi's US release, enough time for players to experience the game's love and loss, some parents became unsettled by their children's hysterical tears or sudden depression upon their virtual pets' deaths. The toy creates a real sense of loss and a mourning process, Andrew Cohen, a psychologist at the Dalton School in Manhattan, told the New York Times in 1997. After wide success in Japan, the Tamagotchi became an instant hit in the US as well. San Francisco's FAO Schwartz sold its entire stock of 3,000 on the first day of sales, May 1st, 1997. The New York store sold its initial 10,000 Tamagotchi by the next day. Sales increased over 70 million by September across Japan, China, Europe, and the United States. But as we know, when fads reach such heights, there's only one way to go. And as soon as the next holiday season, its popularity was already waning in the face of the next big fad, Furby.
But Furby will have to wait for another day. Like so many nostalgic toys and merchandise, everything on today's list continues to be sold and collected. Search Amazon and other online retailers and you'll find newer versions of these things. Search eBay and you'll discover a treasure trove of the vintage versions. Being a fad doesn't preclude these items from continuing to exist. Rather, it's simply a moniker noting that these things had a temporary high-water mark of popularity. Now, of course, that doesn't mean we can't continue to enjoy these toys and fashion accessories. So tell me, which of the items on today's list was your favorite? Do you still have any of them? Can you think of any we should feature on the next video about fads? Well, I would love to hear about it down in the comments. And if you enjoy our content, please consider liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and maybe even activating that ubiquitous notification bell. It really does make a huge difference. Let's meet again next week to celebrate yesteryear right here on RetroDaze.
Clicky clicky.